Hello. Welcome back to MJ Gooner podcast right here for the post-match review. Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. What a game. What a first half dominant display by Arsenal to pretty much, kill the game in the first half. And that's what I've been talking about. We need to have games where we kill the game early and not even allowing any opposition to have, a touch on us or whatsoever. And today we did exactly that. This performance kind of reminds me of the game against Brentford away back in September. Again, it was a weird, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a weird game. But the fact that, for example, when we went back to Brentford back then, I thought it was going to be a tough game because Brentford was a very tough team back then, beating United at home, I believe so, 4-0. And then suddenly for us, we have to travel there. Again, I'm sure I think it was the game after we lost to United, if I remember correctly. And I thought, okay, going to Brentford, it's going to be tough. And it turns out it was quite of an easy display. I don't want to talk down. I don't want to talk down about Fulham or Brentford. They've done a brilliant job this year. Just to, the fact that they're, top half of the table, and nobody would have thought Brentford would be that good since they got promoted since last year. And Fulham, nobody was expecting them to be this good again for this year. Yes, even though they're sitting at 8th, but to be honest, I'm sure a lot of fans out there, Premier League fans, certainly did predict Fulham might get relegated by the end of this season, but turns out they are pretty much in very good hands and potentially going for a European spot by the end of the season. But again, it really depends on the form. But again, this game was relatively easy, was surprisingly easy in the first half. It seems like we had so many chances in the first half where I thought we could have probably be 5 to 6 goals up by halftime. That's how comfortable it was at one point. And again, this game was relaxing to watch, I would say. Second half was a little bit shaky at times where Fulham kind of got the rhythm back a little bit. They have a few shots attempt, which was, thank God, didn't really go in. Again, those kind of a play-by-play, minute-by-minute analysis. I would do it maybe in a few minutes, but let's talk about the lineup today. Gabriel Jesus, it's back in the lineup. It brought me tears again. I missed this guy for the last time I realized the last time I saw him actually play in an Arsenal shirt was the weekend before I started my job. And right now I am 3 months? Was it 3 months? Yeah, 3 months, 4 months into my job. And, finally he is back. Not exactly in the lineup, but on the bench as well. And there were, I don't know, I saw a report yesterday saying that Eddie's going to be out, Trossard's going to be out, and Jesus is going to be out. I know Jesus is not, I know Jesus is probably not far away from making a comeback. But certainly we don't want to risk him in the long term. Eventually, he's been out for a very long time, and he returned to full training. I think a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. The timeline was still a little bit short for him, but the fact that he recovered that quickly was kind of mind blowing. So, but then another news was Trossard is back in the lineup. Nobody thought he was going to be in the lineup. The report saying that he's not going to be fit until after the end of the international break. And I thought, okay, we have to work with one attacker less. But turns out he was in the lineup, and it was a fear for them, not for us. I remember that meme. It's an old guy pulling out a gun on a thief and saying that, call the ambulance, but not for me, and pulled the gun out. And that's pretty much that context perfectly apply to this game and also the context of this game. A lot of people might think that we might drop points. I personally thought we might be dropping points in this game. The fact that we all know Fulham is a great side this season. They have been tremendously different compared for the last few seasons when they were up. The last time we played at Craven Cottage was 2020? No, actually 2021. Yeah, it was 2021, was it? No. Yeah, it was 2020. Was it 2021? No, I think it's 2020, if I remember correctly. Yes, it was 2020. First game of the season, we were traveling away. I still remember Craven Cottage was still in construction, but of course with the COVID regulation going on, the game was still able to be played on that ground, even though there massive construction on the side, on the stand. And I remember Gabriel scored his first goal right there. Like I said, scored the first goal. Gabriel scored the second one, and Aubameyang finished it up with the third goal. And it was quite a memory, to be honest. I remember that game very much. The fact that we started off this game very strongly, and we thought we were gonna win. We're gonna get top four, but turns out the season went downhill. And that's the last time we all thought, we thought of Craven Cottage. It's that game in the middle of the pandemic, and coming back here, 2.5 years later, it felt something different. And of course, the context of the game, it's slightly changed because the fact that we are, going for the title, and Fulham's going for European spot again. Both teams compared to 3 years ago was completely different. So yeah, it was built with great memories there, and we won that game previously comfortably, and this game as well. But I would arguably say that this game was a little bit more challenging in the second half, which I will talk about that later. But the starting lineup has been pretty much what I've been expecting, or at least I wasn't expecting Trossard to be starting in this game. Ramsdale in goal, back four Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, midfield three, Xhaka, Partey, and also Odegaard, and Saka, Trossard, and also Martinelli. Again, the same side, a same side against the Everton team a week ago. Was that a week ago? Actually, last week as well. But I'm talking about like playing the full game. But this game was pretty much a lot of another tough game, another tough away game before the international break. And City beat Crystal Palace last night or yesterday. It was a weird game. I was watching the second half. I felt like Crystal Palace was defending very well. And at one point I thought City couldn't really get much out of it in that game. But I was wrong. Michael Olise with a very stupid challenge in the box against Gundogan. And it was, just one second of switched off or switching off. There goes the chance for City, and they scored a penalty. And Erling Haaland scored his 28th goal of the season. He is definitely going to break the record very soon. There's no way he is not. But the fact that Crystal Palace lost that game, I felt like a draw would be a fair result, but it was not the case, and it was quite disappointing knowing that Crystal Palace dropped points, and I felt like they should have got something out of it. If they managed to draw a point, we might potentially go 7 points clear today, but in reality, that wasn't the case. And Liverpool lost yesterday. Again, another weird tide of the Premier League where you could beat one of the strongest teams so far, United, 7-0, and then traveling away to Bournemouth, and somehow you could lose 1-0, which was very laughable, comedic for sure. So let's move on to this game right here. This game it's fun to watch in the first half. We have so many chances. For the first 10 minutes, we have been passing here and there, passing around pretty much. We had at least 70 possession of the ball in the first half. We were being very patient. We were trying to pass out from the back. But the fact that not having Polinia from Fulham, I think that might be the key because, again, I don't think I watched him play so far this season, but apparently a lot of people say that he's really, really good. Apparently he is a central defensive midfielder who can pretty much hold things together, making tackles, making duels, and stuff like that. But the fact that he's missing today certainly poses much of a greater threat to Fulham than Arsenal, and that's what we're seeing today. It's pretty much we were free flowing in the first half, and also especially in the midfield area, we have so much room to so much room for transition instead of being stopped by Polinia. And that's what I've been doing in the first half. First 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we have been immense, just passing around, create a couple chances as well. Remember the first chance coming from the left-hand side again. I'm not surprised that the first the chances that we came from the majority of the time coming on the left-hand side. And I believe it was Trossard and Martinelli trying to go for, kind of a little slipped in, a little pass to Xhaka. Of course, he doesn't have the pace to do it, but somehow try to keep the ball in play, hopefully hitting one of the defenders and deflects it into a known goal. And right after that chance, the first chance actually came, Granit Xhaka play a perfectly through ball to Martinelli. I believe he also nutmegged Adarabioyo. In the process, Tete couldn't catch up with Martinelli, and Martinelli go for a shot. Good save by Bernd Leno, but it hits. I think it hits Antony from the deflection, and it was a goal. Again, we couldn't really celebrate at this day and age without checking the VAR at so many moments. And that's what we did. We checked the VAR. Turns out it was offside, and from that angle, without drawing the line, I kind of knew it was offside, but it looks really close. But until the referee, the video assistant, decided to draw a line relatively late in the game, to be honest, I felt a little bit uneasy. I thought the fact that you're not drawing a line in that instance might potentially, show that we might get a goal. I know it's not off, any of our players, but even a known goal. A 1-goal lead would be amazing traveling away from home against a very tough team. Turns out it was ruled out. Fair enough. This is how you use the VAR correctly. It's when you check, this is a great moment for Fulham to, redeem themselves from that play, kind of get themselves together after that VAR ruled out. But this is what VAR is about, consistency. And yeah, I mean, when we talk about consistency this season, we talk about in the context of a season instead of one game. And I think that was perfectly a correct call. And later on, a free kick, not a free kick, a corner kick from us. Trossard puts one in, and it was a very smart display, a very smart arrangement in the box. You can see Ben White was relatively blocking, or kind of blocking, Martin Odegaard in that area. What am I talking about? Why is he blocking Martin Odegaard? Bernd Leno. Yes, Ben White was blocking, Bernd Leno to distract him a little bit, not to the point where he was completely being interfered from the play. But, that step in front of him, that tiny little block in front of Leno, did well enough to throw him off, and Gabriel Magalhaes has scored his second goal of the season, if I remember correctly. Yes, it was his second goal of the season, and just what a timely manner. Scoring right after a VAR called, and we scored the first goal, and that was a perfect start for us. And you can't even ask for a much better start against a team like Fulham at all. But we were, again, the thing is, the first half was so good to the point where I thought it was so good to the point where, we've been scoring goals at any moment. And later on, we have a chance from on the left-hand side. Once again, I felt like the left-hand side came alive for the past few games, having Trossard in the team right now. Like, the left side, like, right now looks really, really good. Before we were overhauling the right-hand side, overusing Ben White, Saka, and also Martin Odegaard. But at least right now, we get, a much better breathing room for Ben White, Saka, Odegaard. And right now, we're kind of giving more chances on the left-hand side. And the reason why Martinelli seems to be playing relatively well compared to the last few games was the fact that he is being more used in the central area and on the left-hand side. The chemistry between himself, Xhaka, and also Trossard was immense in this game, or for the past few games as well. And then later on today, we have and then later on, after that goal, we score the second goal right there. Martinelli, literally 5 minutes right after the 5 minutes after the first goal. It was a quick transition as well. You guys can see that before we're able to transition to the midfield area, we were kind of passing around like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 between the defenses, between the defense, Gabriel and also Saliba. And Saliba, of course, he's young, intelligent. He spotted Xhaka kind of have an open area between himself, just kind of whips that one to him, and then there goes our attack. And we go to, and then we give a pass to, Xhaka gives it a pass to Trossard. Again, Trossard might not be the fastest player in the team, but his body language, the way he tried to fake his movement, his direction with his body was very admirable. I remember Tete thought he was going to cut inside, but instead he went out wide. Trossard crosses in the middle to Martinelli. It was a relatively easy goal to score. Anthony Robinson should have done way better in that situation. If I was a Fulham fan, I'll be very disappointed with that defensive display. Anthony Robinson has been decent for Fulham, probably one of the better left backs so far this season. But the fact that allowing Martinelli not trying to intercept the play was a big problem. But you know what? It was our gain after all. Martinelli puts that one through. There's no way you're going to miss that. And even though there's so many times where Martinelli go for a header attempt, and finally this one paid off in a relatively very easy fashion, and Anthony Robinson should be disappointed in himself. But you know what? I'm not going to complain because we scored a second goal. That's all that matters. And the last time, I remember that when the team went up by 2-0 and Arsenal and the team made a comeback, it was Arsenal. And this time we're 2-0 up, away from home. Seems to be very comfortable. But a bit of me, I'm sure it relates to a lot of Arsenal fans as well, but a bit of me certainly thought that this game might turn around. We might thought Fulham might make a sweet comeback 3-2. Everybody was thinking about that. I was thinking about that too. I thought, you know what? I know we're not as bad as Bournemouth, but there's no way we're gonna throw the lead just like that. But again, it is football. Anything can happen in this league. But thankfully, it didn't bite our tail at all. But we continue to play, and after that we have been immense. We have been again controlling, dominating the midfield area as much as we can, and we did it perfectly, I think. And later on, there's one play we intercepted the play perfectly from Adebayo. Poor pass back to Partey. Partey, I believe, went to Odegaard. Odegaard gives a pass to Trossard, and Xhaka play a perfect dummy right there. And then Trossard lays it off to Xhaka. And what was he doing? What was Xhaka doing? This guy has been amazing throughout the whole season, but when it comes to a chance like that, you can't miss. It's only you and Bernd Leno, your former teammates. But the first touch, I dropped my phone. But the first touch was horrible. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was thinking about, rounding the goalkeeper or something else. But it was any of the attacking player in the Arsenal squad, we would have scored that goal. And possibly one of the best team goals that we scored this season. And Granit Xhaka missed that, and that's a problem with Granit Xhaka. Of course, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. Not at all, but the fact that, we still have chances to score in the first half. Why not just take it? That's something that I really don't understand at all. And Xhaka, again, I've been saying this for a while. When we attack, he is not quite the guy. But defensively, in the midfield area, passing, leadership, duel, tackle, everything, he has everything. But in terms of attack, that's something that he's still lacking. Because, again, I felt like Xhaka could possibly get 2 or 3 more goals in this season if he capitalized some of the chances like that. And I remember there was a chance earlier on where it was a quick transition as well. Saka to Odegaard to back to Saka, Trossard to Xhaka. The fact that he's not going for the first time finish was, still, it feels like it makes me want to strangle somebody. But you know what? We missed that chance. It's fine. We keep on going. And later on, by the end of the first half, what a great play once again. Trossard he is definitely the January signing of the season. There's no doubt for that. Scoring 1 goal so far, but provide numerous assists for Arsenal and helping Arsenal to win. But let's talk about the cross to him. To Martin Odegaard, it fell perfectly to him. Great touch with his thigh. Lace it in front of him. Go for a fake first shot. It threw 2 of the defenders away. And then just finesse that one perfectly. Bernd Leno has no chance. 3-0 going into the second half. Pretty much we already know the game was over. But you never know with Arsenal. Because Arsenal, it's capable of bottling some of the games. And we have before. I don't remember the last time we gave away a 3-0 lead. Oh, actually, yes. Newcastle game. A long time ago. 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago. I remember that game. I remember I watched that game. I don't want to talk about it. It was a shamble. But Trossard definitely signing of the season. Not signing of the season, but certainly January signing of the season. Forget about Enzo Fernandez. Forget about Mudryk. But this guy is providing another level for Arsenal when we needed him the most, right? He wasn't our first choice signing. He wasn't our priority. But our plan B worked perfectly in this transfer window. And I hope, in the future, I feel like even though we can't go for plan A, our plan B is still as good as Trossard. Yes, we were going for Mudryk. We got bantered a lot. The fact that Mudryk decided to go for Chelsea despite dropping lots of hints of him joining Arsenal, wanting to join Arsenal. But Chelsea spent $100 million for him to get 1 assist in 7 games. Compared to Trossard, 4 or 5 assists already in 7 games and 1 goal. And he has been part of that winning squad where, I never thought he was going to be a starter for Arsenal. I thought even though Eddie is still playing out of form, a lot of people would still put Eddie on. And Trossard, knowing going into this game, going into this team, knowing that he might not be, going for, he might not be going for the starting lineup because of Martinelli. But right now, it just worked perfectly for him because Eddie is out. Eddie is out of form. And right now, they rotate between Trossard and also Martinelli, creates a different, dynamics in the middle, and it certainly helps us to win more games actually. So maybe Trossard could be, the answer to the answer of our depleting attacking forces, and he fits perfectly. And he is definitely the man of the match to anybody who watched the game. For me personally, man of the match as well. And other than that, I think Gabriel did a very good job as well. But Thomas Partey and also Odegaard today has been tremendous, has been sublime. And we can also talk about Bukayo Saka in this game. He is definitely burnt out. You guys can see that he is not as sharp for the past 3 games. And I think potentially on Thursday, I would personally rest him. I think right now having Reece Nelson back in the team, Trossard, and also Martinelli and Smith Rowe, we have plenty of wide options out there. Or even Fabio Vieira can do a job there. I feel like Fabio Vieira might play as a right wing in that game. I'm sure it might happen. But Saka is certainly burnt off. You guys can see that. He has been playing pretty much almost every 90 minutes since after the World Cup. I'm sure, I don't remember the last time where he had a tiny little break. I don't think he had. But certainly he got taken off at 72 minutes. I think that was a very smart decision by Arteta. There's no point, we're 3-0 up. 20 more minutes to play. You don't want to risk any injuries at this moment, at this point of the season. And Mikel Arteta did a very smart move. Take him out, put Fabio Vieira on. It was perfectly fine. Certainly don't want to burn him out. Of course, he is going to start against Crystal Palace, but it really depends on whether if you want to risk him against Sporting and potentially, risk him for the future games. I'm sure Arteta was smart enough not to do that. And he did exactly that. And in the second half, again, Fulham did way better than they have in the first half. First half, it's a completely different team. It's a completely different Fulham team that I've been knowing of. And they have a couple of great chances as well. Remember, it was a quick transition. I think it was Bobby Reed on the right-hand side. Go for a shot. Good save by Aaron Ramsdale. Oh, I forgot. Aaron Ramsdale in the first half, there's one tricky little play. Kind of a little bit of a mispass to Pereira, who puts it over. And I think in that case, it would be a much better choice if he actually squares one back to Mitrovic, because again, Mitrovic has been amazing this season. He definitely proved the doubters wrong. But for the past few games, I heard that he is not as sharp as before at the start of the season, but he's still a great threat in the air. And that's exactly what happened to their second crucial chance, where it was a corner kick. Mitrovic got ahead to it, hits the crossbar, and we cleared it. Again, that was the moment where we thought that's the moment when we thought, they might get that one goal back and potentially flip the game. But thank God it didn't go in, and certainly did not affect Arsenal defense in any way. Yes, we were a little bit exposed. Zinchenko seems to be a little bit out of it in the second half after scoring the first 3 goals. Defensively, he is not as sharp, not as aware compared to the other 3 defenders. And then putting KT back on again, putting another tears in my eye. Yes, the last time when he featured with an Arsenal game was not long ago. It was the game against Aston Villa. But again, he was supposed to start in the last game. Actually, no, his last appearance was in Everton. But this game was perfectly for him because we needed defensive-minded left back to play in that role to further strengthen our back, and that's what Tierney did, and did it perfectly in a lot of ways. And I realized my computer, it's about to die very soon, so I'm gonna quickly charge my computer, and I'll be right I'm back, and where was I? I think we were talking about Bukayo Saka. Certainly, he definitely needs a break. I don't see him starting in the next game. There's no point of risking him for the next game, and he's definitely going to start against Crystal Palace. So just rest him, Mikel. So next point is pretty much Gabriel Jesus. The cameos that some of the players that came in. Reece Nelson did a fine job on the left hand side again. I felt like he could have been a little bit more selfish in the box. I felt like there were times where I think he should have been probably take a shot once in a while. I remember there's one display he was on the left hand side. I think kind of triple past either Tete or Bayoyo, and then he crosses in the middle but picked up nobody in the box. And again, I think it's a brilliant display from him, but I know some of the Arsenal players should be a little bit more ruthless in front of goal. When they have a sight to shoot, they should have probably done that a long time ago. Because again, right now we have a very nice team, we have a great team, but in order for us to be a little bit more efficient than Man City, top teams in the world, we gotta be finishing chances like that, in a lot of times. And there's also one display, I forgot who it was, but it was a quick display from the right to the middle and to the left as well. I think it was Xhaka trying to go for an assist for Gabriel Martinelli, but good block by Kenny Tete. That was a very good block. I thought it would have been scored that goal, but that play was great. And later on, Gabriel Jesus coming back on for the remainder of the 15 minutes, and there's a little bit of me, not wanting him to play because the fact that I know we were winning comfortably 3-0. And if Arteta wants to put him in maybe the last 5-10 minutes, but I think 15 minutes for him might be a little bit too much. The fact that he's coming back on from a long injury, we don't know how he feels. And there's certainly no point of risking him at this point. But you know what? The fact that if Mikel Arteta believes the progress that he is in, then I certainly do believe that, Gabriel Jesus should deserve a chance to play. And he came on alongside with Fabio Vieira. And again, everybody was, waiting for him to do something magical. And he did. He did a perfectly spin move. That reminds me of the goal that we scored against Watford last season away. Martin Odegaard with the spinning pass. And that's what Gabriel Jesus did. And Fabio Vieira trying to squares him up with that little pass. But Gabriel Jesus again, still the missing chances it's coming back, I feel like. But of course, the fact that he has been so influential with some of the plays, not scoring goals at those moments, I think it was okay. The fact that we have different sources of goals right now, it's fine. But it would be nice to see Gabriel Jesus to score at least a goal in this game. And Fabio Vieira, I think he did brilliantly today. I think right now he is getting into the momentum of a proper Premier League player right now. And Gabriel Jesus again, just big shout out to him. And yeah, Gabriel Jesus, just what a signing. Just miss him a lot. I know a lot of people misses him, but right now we are finally able to watch him play once again. It's such joyful to watch again. I think I felt like he never got injured. The fact that he still come back from his attacking line, come back from behind, make a perfect tackle, and he's a defensive attacker, and he did exactly that today and keep everything simple. I felt like we might have probably get a goal or two more in the second half, but I'm not going to complain about the result. And there's this last play. In the end, Fabio Vieira clearly tripped himself, or else he would have been through on goal. That one's a funny one, and at the same time, it shows how poor refereeing can be in the Premier League. Again, I thought it was a dive. I thought it was a play on, but turns out when you look at the replay quite closely, and even though if you're not on the pitch, you can probably see that he accidentally tripped himself, and he did exactly that. And 3-0 was the final score. It was a very good game. It makes me love this team even more and more. And Fulham, again, I was just very unlucky with them. The fact that not having Polinia by their side. But that's football. You have to adapt with changes. And United today, they dropped point against Southampton today. Casemiro with the first half red card. To be honest, I think that should be red. The fact that, kind of leg breaking. But I know there are a lot of people quite complaining about the game. The game Chelsea and Leicester played yesterday. They're more horrific tackles than the Casemiro one. So again, it's not like Arsenal fault in any way, but the fact that the inconsistency the referees has given the league so far has been quite traumatic, to be honest. But you know what? We just kind of talk about ourselves. We love to talk about Arsenal in general. We don't want to focus on other teams. Again, this is pretty much an Arsenal podcast. We want to focus on our beloved football club, and that's what we're doing here. In next game against Sporting at home this time, we are favored, or we might be having a great advantage because again, two of the Sporting player got suspended from the last game with the second yellow card. And the fact that we're, playing against I would say a slightly weaker side of Sporting on Thursday, might potentially put us through to quarterfinal after this week. Again, I think the starting lineup in that game, I predict the starting lineup would be pretty much, I think it might be, okay, Matt Turner's definitely is going to start and go. Tom Yasu on the right, Tierney on the left. I'm sure it might be Holding as a right center back, Gabriel on the left center back as well. I don't think at this moment you want to put Kivior and Rob Holding at the back at the moment. It seems to be both of them haven't been receiving a lot of game times, and in the games like this, I don't think that would be a good idea. In the midfield, it's going to be Shaka, Jorginho, and Odegaard, and on the right hand side might be Vieira. On the left hand side, it could be Smith Rowe or even Martinelli. But up front, actually, you know what? I don't think Gabriel Jesus is going to start that game. I think it's still a little bit too early for him to start full game. Maybe a little bit of a cameo towards the last 10-15 minutes again might be perfectly fits for him. But I think the front three is going to be, in normal circumstances, might be Martinelli in the middle, Nelson on the left, and Valvia Vieira on the right. And hopefully we're going to go for the win and go for the quarterfinal. And next week on Sunday, same time pretty much, we are playing against Crystal Palace at home. And this will be the final game before we head into the March international break. Again, we still don't really have a full update on who is going to make their international squad. All we know is Thomas Partey is definitely traveling with the Ghanaian team. But let's focus on the next game. I think that's the theme of this season, is the fact that we have to focus on whatever we have in front of us. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Enjoy your Sunday off wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys in a bit.